Hi, I'm Mich Turner from Little Venice Cake Company, and today I'm going to show you how to make a penguin Christmas pudding. Every fantastic cake starts with an amazing baked cake, and I'm going to show you how to do a creamed method to make a gorgeous vanilla sponge that's perfect for a family occasion. We're going to start using unsalted butter, and I like to use English unsalted butter that has to be at room temperature. This way it will really cream nicely and you get a lovely fluffy mix on your cake. And I'm mixing 150 grams with 150 grams of Billington's golden caster sugar. It's going into my mixer. And then I'm going to add 3 eggs, which I've lightly beaten, and again, these are at room temperature. The aeration in eggs will hold much better if they're slightly warmed, if they're at room temperature. I'm using the Allinson's nature-friendly self-raising flour. I love the fact that this is doing a lot of good for the conservation, and the farmers are actively encouraged to have part of their land over for the natural habitation of bees and wildflowers. So all of the flour goes into the batter, and then carefully fold with the spatula to incorporate all of the flour into the mix. To finish, I'm going to add some tablespoons of fresh milk, and I'm going to use the silver spoon vanilla natural extract and what makes the real vanilla cake, the Madagascar vanilla pods. You simply take the pod and use your thumb at one end and take the knife and slice down the length of the vanilla pod like so, and then with a nice flexible blade held at an angle 45 degrees, push away from you down the length of that vanilla pod. And what happens is all the lovely vanilla seeds gather up onto the blade, and you simply scrape those off and add them to the cake. And that's going to bake in the oven at 160 degrees for a conventional oven for about an hour, hour and 10 minutes. Our vanilla cake has been baked and cooled, and I've trimmed the crust off before turning it upside down onto a silver board. So from here now I'm going to brush it with boiled apricot jam. This is the finest quality marzipan. It's 36% ground almonds, which means it has a lovely, really natural almond flavour. You can actually see the pieces of almond in the marzipan itself. You just see all the flecks of almonds in here as you handle it. And it means that it stays nice and soft, so when you come to knead the marzipan, you don't need to put a lot of muscle power into it to have it at the right consistency ready to roll. You'll know it's ready when it feels nice and malleable and it's warmed up a little bit, but it's not sticky. And then at this point, flip it over so you have a nice ball. And now we're going to liberally dust the work surface with icing sugar, because we don't want it to stick as we roll it out. So I've rolled out to a thickness here of around 3 to 4 millimeters, which is ideal for covering this little vanilla cake. And then lift up over the surface of the cake and allow the marzipan to fall. This way I've got a nice even amount of marzipan all the way around the cake, which I can then use my hands, the flats of my hands and the base of my hands, to gently press into position all the way around. And then I'm going to trim the excess just to leave myself an excess of around 2 centimeters all the way around the cake. And then I take my blade up at eye level and use this to slice underneath the cake where the cake comes into contact with the board to remove the excess marzipan. And that's the marzipan cake ready for its top coat of sugar paste. So what I've done is using the sugar paste, I'm kneading it in exactly the same way, but I've actually coloured the first layer that I'm going to put on using these specialist colour pastes that you can buy from a specialist cake decorating store. And don't be tempted to rush this stage. It can take a good 5 to 10 minutes to work in the colour and work it up to the right temperature. And I'm going to brush the cake with the liquid. Non-stick rolling pin, short sharp strokes in one direction, turn the paste, roll it out, and again we're aiming for a thickness of around 3 to 4 millimeters. Once you've made contact and you can feel it's come all the way down to the bottom, trim the excess all the way around. Okay. fill that edge with your smoother before you pop it down. So for the icing on the cake, I'm using my Mich Turner vanilla sugar paste. It's got a lovely tacky texture, perfect for kneading and then so smooth for rolling out. So kneading it so that it's lovely and smooth. This time I'm going for a smaller circle because I'm going to cut a nice jiggity-jaggedy shape that will just put some nice iced texture on the surface of the Christmas pudding. Like so. And then with a little bit of either water or brandy on the surface of the iced cake. And then just gently press down all the way around. And what I'm doing is I'm using my fingers so that as the icing comes down, I'm softening those edges so that it's slightly more rounded at the bottom, so it's not got a hard, blunt edge on what would be the icing on the Christmas pudding. So now comes the fun part, because we're going to make the penguin and the snowflakes. To make the holly leaves that I'm going to dress the top of the cake with, I've coloured my vanilla sugar paste with some teddy bear brown to give it a lovely soft caramel colour. And I'm rolling this out to a thickness of around 2 to 3 millimetres. I'd like them quite fine. Press down like so. And position over a third of the cake. And then just brush the luster over the surface of the holly leaves. And then you have all 3 holly leaves beautifully lustered. Now it's a good idea to add in the centre a cluster of berries, which I'm going to use the same sugar paste to make. So there's my cluster of 3 berries on the surface. And then using the cutter, I'm going to press down to cut the snowflake out, give it a little wiggle so that it releases, press the top so it indents the detail, lift up and then press it again to pop the decoration out, and that gives me my little snowflake. And with a fine paintbrush, add the delicate detail to the strands of these gorgeous little snowflakes. And all that remains is for me to wish you a very happy Christmas.